Hi there. In this QuickBooks Online video, I'm going to quickly add some inventory items, and I'll also manipulate some vendors, and we can take a look at some of the transactions that we have for vendors, which is accounts payable. So I'm using the QuickBooks Online test drive provided to us by Intuit. Again, this is a session-based test drive. If you close your browser, everything resets. So I'll choose I'm not a robot and choose continue. And now to get to where the products and services are, the universal method is the gear icon here, and then under lists we have products and services. So I'm going to create a new inventory item, so I choose choose new and then inventory, and I'm going to create a cherub. Again, this is a landscaping company based in California. This will be a cherub statue. So I'll add a new category for this. If you type in something that doesn't exist, it'll prompt you to add, just like all of these lists that we see in drop downs. Statue, did I spell that correctly? Statues, I'll use plural. And add statues and save. So we can compare categories of inventory items. That's what this is for. So we have a couple of required fields here. The name is the required field. Inventory asset account. So this account will be affected when we purchase the item for resale. We can add a description here. Add a sales price. So that this will be the price that displays by default when we sell the items to customers. Oh, I forgot this very important section here. Initial quantity on hand is also a required field. So I have 10 of these. And then the as of date, I'll add today. Reorder point, not a required field, but we can add that. So if you don't actually have any of these on hand, you can add 0, but you'd need to add something. And I'll quickly go to sales price. So this is the income account that gets affected when we sell the item. We'll use the standard rate in California for tax, for sales tax. Purchasing information, nothing there, and this will be the cost price. So other accounting systems use an average for the cost price. We actually get to enter one in QuickBooks Online. And expense account, again, this account will be affected when we sell the item. We can choose a preferred vendor. This is useful because you can communicate who we buy these items from with our team, so they don't have to ask you who we should buy these items from. And I'm going to choose save and new. Oh, it didn't actually give me a new screen, but I'll choose new again, and inventory, and I'll create another statue. I'll call this dragon. Category statue is now available because I added it. We have 3 of these as of today. And reorder point, we always want to have 2. So with the reorder point, what will happen is the system will alert us if we drop below this level. And this is also useful for reports. It'll tell us how much we need to order in order to maintain that amount. Inventory asset, that's a good account. You can choose a different one if you have, for example, different departments and whatnot. 4-foot dragon statue. I like the sounds of that. And sales price is $4.99. Sales of product income, again, that account gets affected when we sell the item. I'll leave this tax as is. I don't know much about Washington tax, and I'm not going to add any description there. For the purchasing cost, we get it for $2.59. This will be the default price when we purchase the item. We can always override it at the time of purchase. And I'm good there. I'll choose save and close. And I'm going to create a service item. So I choose new, service. This is hedge trimming. And no category, expert hedge trimming. We can make a topiary. And notice we have no purchase price because we don't buy that service from anybody else. And also we only have an income account, no linked cost account or inventory asset. This is not an item that sits on a shelf. It's not a physical item, so there's no cost associated and no revenue. No asset. We can purchase this item if we wish to farm these out, which is a good idea, but we won't get into that, and I'll choose save and close. We'll skip that. That's interesting. I do want to read that, but I'm going to skip that and save and close. That's the first time I've seen that particular message pop up. Now, if we want to modify inventory and service items, I'm going to change my pump here. We can just choose edit. Again, gear icon, products and services, and then choose edit next to the one we wish to change. I'm going to make a reorder point of 10 for this. Notice that we cannot change the quantity on hand via this dialog. And I'll choose save and close, and I'll also modify design. I want design there it is, up at the top. Sales price. Oh, it's already 75, but let's change it to, I'll just change it to 95 and save and close. Now there's a couple of reports available for inventory. We can find those under reports, of course, and then down in our sales and customers we have a few inventory reports here. So physical inventory worksheet, that's for taking inventory at the end of the month. We have inventory valuation, summary and detail. The difference between the detail and the summary is the summary will just give us totals, the detail will give us the transactions that also lead to those totals. So I'm going to quickly look at my summary. The thing about the summary is you can always drill down and take a closer look at the items to see the detail. The opposite is not true with the detail, so I always open up the summary, I never open up the detail. So basically it shows us a little bit about our inventory on hand. It does not display items with a zero balance. I'm going to go back to my standard reports there, and I'll take a look at physical inventory worksheet. Again, this physical inventory worksheet is what we share with our employees when they count the inventory at the end of the month. So it shows us quantity on hand, reorder point, quantity on purchase order. If we send our employees into the warehouse to count these items and they see less than 25 fountain pumps, they may put a -1 or the actual number they counted. And then we also have product services list. So again, back to standard reports, and then sales and customers, product services list. This would serve well as a catalog or a price sheet that we share with our customers. However, you'd probably want to remove these purchase price anyway. You may want to let them know how many you have. So they may, if they see there's only 3 left, they may feel it's more urgent to buy. So that works for marketing purposes. So if we want to remove that purchase price, we can go to the columns here, and I'm going to remove that. So again, you wouldn't want to share your purchase price with your customer, because there is a chance they may become your competitor. That has happened to me. So those are the 3 reports that go along with inventory and services. Let's quickly take a look at suppliers. So I'll quickly create a supplier, also known as a vendor. Depending on what version of QuickBooks Online, they'll give you a different version if you're in a different country, or if your email is located in a different country. You may have the word suppliers, or you may have the word vendors. So I'm in Canada, so I frequently use the word suppliers. The US version uses the word vendors. So to get at my vendors, I choose expenses, vendors, or we can click on expenses and choose vendors. You get to the same place. Lists all of my vendors, a little bit about each one. I'm going to quickly create a new one. So new vendor. And this is going to be a marketing company that we use for advertising. I'm going to put the company name in here, Danby Marketing. Now, one thing about this, I always get mixed up, but if you add the company name to the company name field, it also populates in the vendor display name. A similar thing happens with the desktop version as well. Danby Marketing, and we can add the guy's name, our contact there. And we can add some information. I'm just going to add his email. I have some additional information you can add in my notes, but just to make this quick, I'll just add his email. Generally, I only retain email and phone number for my customers and my vendors. We have some other information we can add there. One other piece of information that's important here that affects the actual bottom line is we have a default account to use. So that'll pop up in the category when we purchase something from Danby. If we're the end consumer of the item that they sell or the service they sell, it's useful to choose an account here. If they're a vendor and we buy inventory from them for later resale, the linked account comes from those inventory linked accounts that we saw before, or the service linked account. So it's not useful to add an account here. But in this situation, we do not resell marketing. We're a landscaping company. We're not a marketing company, so it is useful to choose an account here. This will be the default account that's used on various AP transactions for Danby Marketing. We can always override it at the time of invoice. So I'm going to choose advertising. This is a marketing company. We can add an opening balance. We'll look at that in level 2. And I'm going to choose save and close. Save, I should say. It closes as well. I'm going to quickly modify one of our existing vendors. So again, we can go expenses vendors or expenses vendors, and I'm going to change Pam Sets. There she is there. Choose her. And again, to modify a vendor, we click on Edit. And it's actually Pam Sets and Associates now. We could change this to Pam Sets and Associates. You notice that when you change it, it does not populate the vendor display name like it does when you add the name to begin with. So you can just copy and paste that. And I'm going to add some additional data about her. I'm going to say Pam's birthday. Useful to know your supplier's birthday. They might give you extended credit limit and stuff if you have a personal connection with them. As well, it's just a nice thing to wish somebody a happy birthday. Pam's birthday, October 21. And I'll save, and I'm also going to modify Tanya's nursery. So again, I go back to vendors here. I'll find Tanya's. There it is there. I'm going to add an email for her. I'll change her email, I should say. Sales. And we have an account number with her as well. Or our account number has changed. And save. So that's a little bit about adding new vendors, a little bit about adding new inventory, modifying vendors, modifying inventory as well as services. Let's quickly look at a bill. So again, I mentioned in the first video that a bill is a purchase from vendor on account. So it always affects AP. So I'm going to create a new bill. A couple of ways to do that. We can choose expenses, bills, add bill, create bill, or we can choose expenses, and then expenses, or expenses, whatever you like to do, and then new transaction. This is all of the AP transactions, and bill. Either way, you'll get to the same place. We have some little bit of information about autofilling this bill. First time I've seen this. I'll investigate that later on, but right now it's distracting, so I'll close it. So we are purchasing something from Tim Phillip Masonry. So I'll find him. You can just type in TIM if you like, a little quicker. I'll use my mouse to slow myself down. There's a purchase order available for Tim Phillips, so this will pop up on the side and we can populate our bill with that if we like, but this is unrelated to this purchase order, so I'm going to close that. This is for today. Due date, I'm going to say 30 days from now, and then the bill number is TPM. This is my own prefix, so frequently I'll create a code for my vendors so that I can quickly identify who this is for by looking at the actual journal entry. So that TPM does not exist on the invoice from Tim Phillip Masonry. That's something I add myself. And we're going to buy 3 rock fountains. Notice we have categories, so if you need to choose an account from your chart of accounts, that's what category is for. Category means account. And then we have items. So if the item is for later resale, you use the item section here. And we're going to buy 3 rock fountains. So I'll choose a rock fountain. We're going to buy 3 of those. The amount comes from the purchase price for the inventory item. We'll look at billable later on. We don't pay tax for items that we resell, and we'll look at that customer field later on as well. That's for the actual item. Now, Tom Phillip Masonry also charges us shipping. These are big, heavy items, so we have to pay some shipping for these, even if it's across town. So we don't have a field for freight and shipping on the actual invoice. We have to add that under category. So I'm going to look for freight or shipping, see if we already have it. Generally down in expenses. It looks like we do not have a freight or a shipping account already, so I'm going to add one. So you could actually just type in the name. That's my favorite method. So I'm going to call this shipping expense. When I hit tab, I get that little panel that pops out, shipping expense. It's an expense. I'm going to use miscellaneous, although there might be something better here. I'll take a look. Oh, we already have shipping. In my notes I say miscellaneous, but we can use shipping, freight, and delivery instead. And we can add a description. And that's all I need to do for that. Save that. And the amount is $25, no tax. Although I don't know about the tax for California for something like that. And I'll choose save and close. So again, I pointed this out with the general journal transactions. We have save and schedule payment as well. Save and close and save anew. So again, save would leave everything available if we wanted to make this a recurring transaction. I'm going to save and close just so we can start again, and I'll add one more. So in this situation, we're the end consumer of this product. So we do not use the item field on the bill. The bill The item field is for items that we later resell to customers. Again, I'll choose expenses, bills. I'll go the long way. We get a little AI powered bill creation. First time I've seen this. A lot of applications, especially cloud applications, are adding additional AI. I'll read more about that as I do teach an AI for productivity course. This is very interesting to me. But for now, I'm just going to close this. I'll look at it later. And I'll add a bill, create a bill. And this is for, we just bought some display shelving for our business. So this is the first time we've worked with this vendor, so I'm going to type their name. The benefit of typing the name is it'll search the list as well. So this is Courtenay Furniture. So there is no Courtenay Furniture, so we can safely add. So when I hit tab, it pops up my vendor, puts it in display name, unfortunately, so I have to copy into the company name if we want to use the company name as well. And this, we have a contact here, David Courtenay. In real life, I would add an email, phone number. This guy doesn't actually exist, so I'm not going to contact him, but generally, at least an email, probably a phone number as well, so we can send him SMS messages and whatnot, and I'll choose save. And again, we're the end consumer, so we use the category section. This item details is only for items that we resell. Category can be used for items we resell, like we saw with shipping, but this is only for inventory that we resell. So our category here is furniture and equipment. So we'll see if that already exists. There may be something like it. So let's see if we have furniture and fixtures here. It'll be under the assets or long-term assets. I always look at the category on the right there. Helps me find my assets. So it looks like there is no furniture and fixtures, so I'll quickly add that one account as well. Furniture and equipment I'll use. You can use ampersand, I believe. And that is an asset. Fixed asset. Fixed asset furniture. And I'll choose save. And we're buying that for $229.95. Again, we'll look at what billable and customer is for in level 2. And they gave us an invoice which was CFL Courtenay Furniture Limited 997. And again, we are paying, again, this is a bill, so it's on account, so I'll add net 30. We have a month to pay generally, and I'll choose save and close. So again, that is adding inventory, vendors, modifying inventory, vendors, and we quickly looked at a bill. Let's quickly take a look at the journal entry to see the transactions that were created from all of that. So again, we can look at reports, and then down to for my accountant. Again, I always throw a star next to that. We'll see that how that works when we have our own company to work with. I click on journal. I did not create this transaction. That's via the test drive. Notice it has no number. So we created 2 inventory items, and both of them had a quantity on hand. So those are the transactions to handle that. If I take a look at the actual transaction, we can click on the link there. It'll bring up the quantity on hand, as of date, initial cost. So we can modify that stuff that was grayed out when we went to edit inventory items. So that's the actual transactions created. So it's nothing set in stone there. And there's the 2 bills that we created. Again, you can drill down on those, and you can modify them and save if you like, or delete them. So again, that's another way of finding and adjusting. And again, my favorite method to find is using my magnifying glass at the top of the screen. And advanced transaction search, we can look for bills, and there's our 2 bills there. Again, we can open them up, and we can change anything and save if we need to. So again, that was adding inventory and vendors. Thanks so much for watching.